Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode, The Manolo Show. We are going to be talking about UX, user experience in apps. Today. And you might notice we are in a new studio today.
We were last week, too.
Yeah, but we didn't mention it. So we're going to mention it this week. New studio today. Different studio. We have a few we're going to be trying out, bouncing around a little bit here and there. So, yeah.
I like the art behind us.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool looking. It's all colorful and stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I don't know what it is, but
It's just like abstract.
Is that like a sky or is it a river? I don't really know. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Makes me feel good in here. So
Yeah.
kind of coincides with what we're going to be talking about today about UX.
Ooh, good segue.
And how people feel.
Mm-hmm.
So
feeling good. Well, before we start talking about that, let's talk about stuff that's happening in the world.
Yeah, crazy stuff, fun stuff.
Pretty good, big stuff
in the world of tech. GTP 4 has come out.
GTP,
GPT.
Those combination of
GPT?
letters arranged correctly. I think it's GPT.
GPT. Yeah. So
we've said it so much in the past 2 weeks that it's just.
Which one is it?
Word.
Yeah. So 4 has come out. We'll just skip the letters, the 3 letters that come before.
Yeah. Version 4
of the OpenAI language model.
Yeah, which is, before we start getting into what it is, like, didn't 3.5 Turbo just get released last week?
Yeah,
I don't know. And
they're moving fast.
And then they're like every week we're gonna iterate on a new version of ChatGPT.
Yep,
which is pretty cool. I mean, maybe was Bing working on 4 previously? Before, maybe we had access to 3.5, but Bing had 4 previously.
Or ChatGPT had access to 3.5. Bing had access to Turbo.
Oh, right.
And then Turbo came into ChatGPT.
Yeah, it was like a bridge.
And then Bing got access to 4, and of course a handful of other companies got access to 4.
Yeah.
And then they just recently released the fact of allowing people to use 4.
Yeah.
In OpenAI Playground, I believe, and then also in Chat GPT.
If you have Chat GPT Plus.
Right.
It does require the $20 subscription in order to use that.
Yep.
But we've looked at it and we've kind of played around with it a little bit, and there's a couple of differences. Couple of them are subtle. One of them, of course, is it's just supposed to be improved and give you improved responses. Yep. It's smarter, apparently. Like one of the examples that they gave, and they did this a lot in their kind of demo video, is they would compare a prompt given to 3.5 Turbo versus given to 4 and see what the differences were. So one of the things is you can give them like a puzzle almost and say, tell me the story of Cinderella, but every word has to use the letter G.
Yeah.
Every single word.
Or every word has to use the next letter.
Or A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 3 completely ignored the request, and it's just Cinderella is a tale about all the but whereas 4 would actually give you a pretty good it messed up once because it said AI or something like that, right? So it was really close to that thing. So it was smarter. It was able to process that prompt a little bit better. Who knows how they do it, but maybe it's just trained better. I don't know. So that's the big one, or one of the big ones. The other one is just longer context.
Yeah.
So more words put in, more words coming out. But in addition to that, it can kind of compare 2 contexts together a lot better. So they had it. So ChatGPT 4 is still restricted to 2001 or something like that in its knowledge.
2021.
2021, not 2001. Yikes. Yikes. Was Web 2.0 even a thing then? I don't know. Anyway,
no, not until 2004.
Yeah. So anyway, it's still restricted to 21. So the person who was giving the demo was asking it to build a Discord bot for it that would implement some features of ChatGPT, or GPT-4, which we'll talk about in a sec. So he was asking it to build this Python bot, and it would give them this code for Discord's Python package type thing, whatever it was that they were using it. And he implemented it into Jupyter, and it would not work. It would give an error message. So the reason that it was giving the error message is because ChatGPT-4 only knew of Discord's 2021 API and not their most recent API, which it changes pretty frequently. So the example that he gave to fix that is he actually copy and pasted the documentation for this package into ChatGPT, and then also pasted the error message that he received in Jupyter to when he tried to run the original program. He said, how can I fix this? And ChatGPT was able to combine its previous knowledge along with this new documentation and the error message that they got, and kind of like cross-reference the contexts between the three different pools of knowledge and come up with and notice that, oh, I was using this intent wrong because now I need an intent for this purpose, which is something in the code. So it then provided a whole new thing of code that could then be pasted in Jupyter, and it worked. And it was like, it fixed the problem pretty much. So it's really cool that it's like you're able to feed it more information, and also it can compare that information to other information if you wanted to. And like, you can imagine,
help it learn and train more.
Yeah. You can imagine giving it 2 different documents or 2 different articles and asking to summarize the combination of those 2 things, or like find the commonality between the 2 things, and maybe that's what I want to write my article about. Right. So it's just like a whole new way of using AI to do that. And then the final thing is, beforehand, you couldn't do anything with images. And I don't know if ChatGPT Plus allows this just yet, but they used an example that implemented the OpenAI with model GPT-4. And you could, with this Discord bot that they had built with ChatGPT or GPT-4, you could paste an image to the Discord channel, and then it would feed that the Discord bot would feed that to the GPT-4 API with a prompt and respond with feedback using the image and the prompt as context for each other. So one of the examples, the Discord bot didn't do this, but one of the examples that they showed was you could take an image of a plank on a fulcrum. So like it's balancing like this type of a thing. On one end of the plank was a bucket. On the other end of the plank was nothing, but on top of it was a weight held by a string. And you could send that to GPT-4 with a prompt that said, what would happen if the string broke and the weight fell onto the plank? And ChatGPT or GPT-4 would be able to respond to that prompt and say, well, if it dropped, it would cause the bucket to go flying. So it recognized what the image was, what was going on in the image, took what the prompt question was, and answered it based on what the image presented, which I think is just bonkers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You can think of all sorts of different things that, like, photographers, is this a good image compared to my other images? Designers, like, if I put my button in this part of the website, is that what people typically do? What color would work better for this button? Based on this information, that information, that information, using Airbnb standard or something like that, right?
I could see it helping out those visually impaired too.
Yeah,
scan an image scan an image.
There are already those apps out there where you can scan text and it'll read the text to you. But what if you're at an art museum and they don't have, like, maybe this art museum doesn't have QR codes or something that would tell you the content. You scan a picture of it, or you take a picture of it, and your phone will then verbally tell you, what the picture is, the vibrancy, the context, and stuff like that. That's incredible.
Yeah, or you're in a grocery store and you just can't read small print, right? And you need to read the nutritional facts, and you could just, maybe not even take a picture, but maybe you can just hold your phone up and, maybe something pops up and just explains everything that's in there in large text, or maybe reads it out audio.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, that's kind of crazy. Or like you point at bananas. Are these bananas, right?
Right.
Like,
how much time do I have before these?
Sometimes you can't tell just by touch. You have to see the brown spots on it, or the yellowness.
Right. Or point at a box of like avocados and be like, are these good, or do I have to like literally touch every single one to find which ones are good to use?
Where's the best cantaloupe out of these choices? That's pretty incredible, and that's just like two people who have sight, and don't have those kind of different capabilities of sight, thinking of those things. Like imagine what people who do experience that could come up with in this space.
Yeah, I mean the beauty is when it really starts to help humanity, right? Especially those with impairments or disabilities, right? When it becomes easier for those folks to live their life and have fun, right? Like that's where things get, I don't know, that's where I feel like things for me get exciting. And
yeah, I mean anytime you can make things equitable, I think, and especially if technology can do that for you in a very open way, I think that's really great.
Awesome.
That's cool.
On the whole AI front, so Google released information that their language model is going to be introduced into their workspace applications like Sheets and
Did I mention this last week? Something tells me I might have had that.
You may have slid.
Inkling.
You may have slid something.
I think
I
might have known. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe you've known. I don't know. Maybe you've got inside ties to Google. Who knows?
Me and the CEO were really tight.
But I mean, but imagine I know personally, I've seen so many YouTube videos about getting ChatGPT prompts directly integrated into Google Sheets and building Google Sheet content data inside of Google Sheets. I mean, those are going to become obsolete in a way if that information is going to be right in my Google Sheet. I no longer have to add this add-on or have this Chrome extension or.
I saw also it can dynamically create Google Slides for you as well, like an entire presentation based on data that you
there's software platforms out there now. There's SaaS platforms. You can pay a monthly fee for it to generate you a pitch deck.
Yeah.
Right? Feed it a few things and bam, it can build out a whole pitch deck for you. The 10 to 12 slide pitch deck. It depends on which plan you're on. But
Google, infamous for giving lots of things for free, is really nipping that in the bud.
Take it. Yeah. Take it.
Yeah. Use my thing so that I can get brand recognition. You use all my other things that bring in.
Serve up this little ad
revenue. And it's going to sneak this little you need a car? You want a car? It's right here. Just click on it.
Oh, you're talking about tennis rackets? Here's a tennis
rackets. I got tennis rackets.
Yeah, there you go.
How many tennis rackets you need? On Google.
Awesome. So let's get into today's topic. Unlocking business success, the power of user experience in software development.
Experience.
Yep.
So we kind of alluded to it at the beginning, but UX is really just about feeling, how not all just about feeling, but it's the experience that you get when using, in this context, an application, but really any context.
Absolutely.
The feeling you get when you open an awesome car.
Yep.
Right, like the feel of the leather,
you sit in the driver's seat for the very first time.
Like how seats, some new cars now will have seats that automatically shift to your position, and when you get out, it pulls back so you can more easily get out. That's a user experience that's really really great.
Yeah, the drive-through at Starbucks, that's a user experience. You're experiencing the brand at that point.
Yeah,
all the way through. How long the wait is, to speaking at the microphone, to looking at the menu. Is it easy to see from your vehicle? Swooping all the way around to pay and grab your beverage of choice or muffin of choice, right?
Yeah, and the importance of UX, the real thing that's key to it all, is if you don't have an app that is fun to use, or if you don't have a product that is fun to use, or at least easy to use. People won't want to use that product or use that app, or they'll go to the competition that does do that much better.
Quickly.
Yeah. Yep. So just a semi-recent example, Snapchat was the hotness for a long time when it came to short, shareable, non-permanent-esque type of video, right? Mm-hmm. User experience in Snapchat wasn't always the best thing in the world. It was a little confusing going around. It
was new.
It was newer. Yeah. So they were forging the way almost. But it wasn't until things like TikTok came around where it was really made it easy to go through those videos
to consume the content.
And I'm really, really convinced that it was the ease of use of TikTok that really led to the kind of the downfall of Snapchat. Snapchat
the adoption. Yeah, everyone kind of moved over. It was just too easy to just rifle through 137 videos.
Yeah. Oh gosh, like even to this day, I fought joining TikTok for the longest time, like just because I didn't want to get into it. I knew I was going to get addicted to it, and then I downloaded it. I'm like, oh, am I too old for this? Like, is this for like younger than the older millennials, like I am? Like, is this millennials and stuff like that?
And was it like your third video where you saw someone twice your age in there doing a video?
Yeah, no, I was just scrolling through and I looked up and it was like 2 a.m. and like, what have I been doing this whole time? I've watched 5 videos. It seems like, and now it's like, it's almost
seems like
dangerous.
You watched 5 videos, but your video count was at like 503.
Yeah, but the feeling, the experience of going through and getting like that super instant gratification and like it just like triggered something that made it really easy to get like real quick, different content, entertaining content fast. And that's what keeps TikTok around to this day until the government decides that we can't use TikTok anymore.
Oh, the government.
It's a thing.
It is a thing.
They're trying. They're trying real hard. They've already banned it in their own government apps or government phones.
Well, you've got, I don't know, tens of millions of people spending time on the platform scrolling through videos and not going out spending money on the economy and like buying things or just you know.
But I mean,
that's one side of it. But then there's the other, like, oh, well, you know, there's a corporation that owns that app that's maintaining the app, keeping an eye on the metrics, understanding what's going on, looking at everything, and who knows what they're doing with the data? That's
probably the main thing. And there's a connection to China, and that's kind of like, are we aiding a foreign government by giving all this data about Americans? And it's like, China could just go to Facebook and buy that information right now. They don't have to have their own app to do it. Which is arguably more expensive than just buying bulk data from a company that just doesn't care what that data is or what the context is and just sells it, right? So I don't know. So there's arguments on all sides, and we won't get into it.
So we've already touched on a handful of them, but there are 4 major key components to good UX. Usability, accessibility, consistency, and feedback. Feedback in a way of, does your software application give feedback to the user when they expect the feedback to be there, or when they do something? Like we brought up TikTok, when you swipe up to the next video, are you going to the next video, or is there a 2-second delay, 3-second delay, and then finally it moves, right? That's what we mean by feedback. So usability, accessibility, consistency, and feedback. Those are the 4 key components to good UX, smart UX.
Feedback wise, I think that's probably one of the most important ones. Like it's as simple as changing the way a button looks when you press it and let go of it. And it's as complex as when you type in congratulations onto somebody's Facebook post, it sends up balloons on your thing. That kind of like makes you want to go type congrats to other people in their feeds and keep you on the app. Like it's a good feeling design.
It's the instant feedback that you've actually typed congrats. And then it's the good feeling about how you congratulated someone and you got the confetti or whatever it is. The balloons, right? The role UX plays in software development methodologies. So there's a couple out there, Agile and Lean, right? So Agile is more or less the 2-week sprints, the iterative, right? Constantly making changes, constantly, gathering feedback, making tweaks. And then there's the Lean approach, which is more or less like, how can we make this thing simpler? How can we do it so that it doesn't involve too much effort?
Lots of efficiency and like how can shredding of the excess.
Right. How can we streamline this checkout process so maybe it's not 4 screens, it's 3 screens. Just making it easier on the user to get from, product listing page to checkout, paid. There's impact on, business success when we talk about UX. That's a big thing too. How good UX contributes to business success. Since we are talking to a lot of business owners out there, good UX leads to a lot of important things. Increase user satisfaction, how satisfied are you in terms of swiping through TikTok, or how satisfied are you, like how much better does that coffee taste if you've had a really good experience through the Starbucks drive-thru?
Yeah.
If you just experience that brand in a very good way, I bet you that coffee tastes a little bit better than it does if you if you came across an employee that's just having a bad day, or you were handed the wrong drink, and you got to get it back and wait for your drink to come through the window, right? You have a bad experience, I bet you that coffee doesn't taste as good.
Right. Yeah, or even think of like ease of use in a way. All the fast food chain restaurants are coming out with apps, and even McDonald's has like basically their app on a kiosk, which came out before the app, if I'm not mistaken. It was like pre-pandemic stuff, really. But it's just as simple as walking up and visually seeing what you want, clicking on it, like making modifications to what you want on your burger and that sort of thing. And it's just like a real smooth, streamlined experience. You click a button, take a number, and then walk away. Right. And your food is just, they either bring it to you or they call on you. And it's just like a really good experience to have. Obviously, there's something to say about the loss of human contact with that. But just in terms of like how much quicker you probably get your food, how much harder it is for somebody to misinterpret your order. I'm super picky with my food, and before all these ordering apps, I would go and I would ask for this off of it and that on it and that sort of thing, and like it would 70% of the time they would get it right. So 30% of the time I would get home and I wouldn't be able to eat the food because I'm a 5-year-old. But now with the app, like there is no confusing it. Like it's exactly what it is, and it shows up exactly what it's supposed to be. There is no human that misinterpreted me,
unless you didn't read the kiosk right, or you missed a modification.
Exactly. Then like there's where there were 2 points of potential human error before, this eliminates one of them, and now there's only 1 point of human error, and less mistakes happen.
And that's on you.
That's on me.
You're the one human in the human error calculation there.
The one human, and it's all my fault. So sorry, me in the future for doing that.
In addition to increased customer satisfaction, which could potentially be as important as increased or improved conversion rates, which conversion rates are goals that you're achieving in your software app. So whether it's someone's buying something, or they're downloading something, or they're filling out a form, or they're doing something in your application that that depicts a KPI or some type of conversion, right?
Yeah, I mean, think of Amazon right now, and just like they've pretty much perfected the experience of ordering something and getting it 2 days or less later, right? And that just how like the easier it is and the better it is, and the more satisfying it is to do a process, the more likely somebody is going to complete that process. The fewer steps there are, the easier it is to apply a gift card or to decide like what they've got one step or one click buying now. So they'll use like your default card, and they skip all of the card selection, the confirming of your shipping address, all that stuff. And it's just, you click that button and that is going to be there in a day or two. Like there's nothing like that experience. It kind of like sets the standard for it. And those things probably directly lead to much greater sales for those products. We've got a very loud.
We are okay. We are in a location.
That's a car.
Cool story though. Cool. That is a car. I'm
very surprised I was able to keep talking and finish that sentence without just going.
But what that car is? So we are physically located near I don't know if you want to call it like a satellite office or a satellite location for autonomous vehicle data center,
like a fleet
fleet
storage
data center
unit place.
So we through here they've got autonomous vehicles that are pulling in and pulling out, and they're running diagnostics on these vehicles. Basically right on the other side of the wall that's here. So what you're hearing are vehicles coming, autonomous vehicles coming in and out. Hopefully none drive like right through the studio. That'd be funny.
I don't know that would be funny. I think that's the opposite of funny.
Yeah, I don't think we'd want that in an autonomous vehicle.
No.
It'd be cool to see one go by though.
They should have just a window right out there so we can see what's going on outside.
Yeah, but it's cool to see that these things are, these vehicles are coming in. There's mechanics out here, checking out the vehicles, running diagnostics, pulling data from maintaining their operation. Sounds crazy, right? We talked about that.
We did that last week, I think. Go check it out.
So getting back to what we were mentioning earlier about conversion rates, right? Obviously that increases revenue. You talk about enhanced customer retention and really overall competitive advantage when it comes to UX. If you're UX, your experience of people, using your app, right? People are going to stay with your app. They're going to continue to use your app. They're not going to uninstall it and go find another one that does the legitimate same thing and download and use that one. If they're happy with the software app and it runs and it's fine and it's great and people like it and it's not clunky or stupid, they'll stick with it.
Think about the competitive advantage that Airbnb garnered with the way that they do booking. They pretty much set the standard for it now.
Yep.
But when they first came out with it, I bet that's how they got that reputation, is they just had a real clean, real awesome experience. And it wasn't something that other people were doing. And it garnered a reputation with people from that experience such that all the other types of booking apps that you can see on the web nowadays do it the way that Airbnb does it.
Right.
Because there was just such a clear advantage to doing it the way that Airbnb was doing it. It just made sense. That's why they probably made bank and now have such a huge share of short-term rental space and companies. No,
you can get banks on the app?
I don't think you can get banks on the app. I don't think we want that.
They don't have a bank category?
I don't know. Do they?
I don't know. Do people buy old banks and furnish them up to be homes and put them on?
No.
No?
I thought you were talking about banks coming in and buying failed banks. Topical.
Oh, no.
SVB, is that a thing?
I don't know. No, Airbnb.
No, SVB. Today is the episode of Tangents. We apologize.
So there is a cost. There is a cost when you have poor UX.
Yeah.
When you don't care about UX, when you don't care about what it looks like or how people are going to use your software application or how long it takes for someone to get through the checkout screen or checkout experience, there is a cost to that.
Deep cost.
Yeah. Lost customers, right? Can your business handle losing customers? I think we're all in business to have and gain customers. But
very few businesses can afford to lose customers based on something as simple as making your app easy to use.
Right. And we brought up the Starbucks, it could be really any drive-through you go through. If you approach an employee that's having a bad day, right? Negative brand image.
Yeah.
Right.
Or on the flip side, think of a fast food restaurant that maybe isn't on the up and up to its competitors, right? I don't know if we really want to trash people at all, but I'll trash people right now. Every episode is me trashing a company. But
you talk good about companies too.
I do. Yeah. Like the ones that I like McDonald's. But I'm about to make a McDonald's reference right now. McDonald's is like a standard for fast food almost. They've just been on the forefront of doing stuff. Wendy's maybe not so much. Right, you can attest to this. Every time we go to a specific Wendy's, we don't get our food as fast, and it's just I don't know. It's a different experience. The food may be whatever. Right. It doesn't really matter about the food, but today. Just today, I made our lunch decision based on the fact that one is faster than the other.
Right.
And one
even though one is closer.
Yeah, too, The other one, the one that we didn't choose, is the closer one. And, and we got our food probably faster than we would have gotten. Their dining room was open. Right. The last time I went to a Wendy's, dining wasn't even open during the middle of the day. So I don't know. Not to trash Wendy's because they have a really good social media presence.
Yeah, they do.
They have really good. They do a lot of things right. I mean, obviously, but
you talking about negative, or we talking about negative brand image, and sticking on the whole fast food thing. I mean, Burger King, there's one Burger King in my local city that exists, but there's never anyone there. I mean, the weird thing is often when we drive by it to get to the freeway or to go somewhere else, there's three or four other, 2 or 3 other places to get food quickly in the surrounding area, and they're just on fire, packed, drive-throughs completely packed, people coming in and out of the dining room. And it leads me to have a negative brand image of Burger King, because it's like, why isn't this, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, why isn't this place open, or why isn't anybody in the drive? Like, what is going on here with Burger King?
We're really big on like noticing what the big companies and people do, or like things that are happening in there, such that like if a big person or one of the big companies is doing something specific and they change something specific, then we're going to follow it, right? Because they've obviously done the research and something has happened there. But at the same time, if something like we notice that like no one's going to a place or no one's using this feature or something like that, there's obviously a reason for that as well. And we don't want to emulate what that particular piece of software or that particular restaurant is doing necessarily. So like that's very telling that there's no one ever there. And I've noticed that at Burger King's around my area as well. Sorry, Burger King. Your food is great.
I'm sure you're booming in other areas that we just don't frequent very often. Because I see your commercials every 8 seconds on TV. So
and like the King character is one of the best. Best of all the fast food things since like Ronald McDonald, really, right? Like nothing from Wendy's, nothing from any of the other like big fast food restaurants. None of their mascots have really ever rose to that level of like coolness. Like I will watch a Burger King commercial because it's funny, because the King is ridiculous and not scary.
Not scary at all.
Right.
There's also increased development costs, right? So if you don't care about UX, and you're wondering why people aren't downloading your app, or you're just getting bad reviews, and you got a dev team in there changing things, deploying, and you're still getting bad reviews, and the dev team's in there changing things and deploying, when you're really not doing good UX, right? You can be running development cycles over and over and over and over and over again, and that of course increases your development costs, right? Because you've got people doing things
when they could be doing maintenance.
When they could be doing
upkeep or improvements on optimizations, not maintenance.
Not maintenance.
You've been telling me this for a week now, and I just won't get it.
So I'm
going to get fired.
There are strategies. There are strategies for integrating UX into software development, right? And we've talked about no code, low code, and custom software, and we'll continue to cover those topics, as we weave through these themes as we discuss things, right? So no code, low code platforms when it comes to like good UX. Maybe want to talk about a little bit about platforms that exist out there that just give you a leg up on UX. So a lot of these no code, low code platforms that you go to kind of build your own app, internal business tool, external software app, that allow you to get something kind of quick and out there, right? They have pre-built templates, they have pre-built components, buttons, carousels. They've got all these kind of like pre-built already, so you don't really have to know how to build a button or code all the different interactions a button needs.
They kind of take care of the real like base UX and even the base UI for you for the most part.
Yeah, and some of these templates, you can even go with like a template that might even have like a page layout kind of already done for you. I guess in a way, if you're not really sure, you don't really know, you assume that, okay, yeah, this is a good layout. But if you have like at least some sense of UX, you might be able to determine, I'm not sure if I'm going to want to make this work, or if it's good or not, or maybe one template's really good and another isn't so good, right? You might not be able to pick that up.
That's part of what like Wix and Squarespace is all about. Like they've taken the time to obviously provide this product, and it's got pre-built components and pages and things that are UX designed already. Like these are proven to work. These are things that are typical in websites, and you don't have to really think about that all too much.
Right.
With those.
Yeah, and they offer
you use those.
Rapid prototyping and iterating, right? So, and that's a lot of what we do here at Munello. Just really, hooking into a platform on a concept to get something published real quick. Really to get it, on your own phone, for you to hold it in your hand to see, okay, is this what I'm envisioning my app to do? You can even release it to, a focus group or some type of market strategy to get it in the hands of 100 of your potential users to start to gain feedback on how they might use it.
Imagine getting an inkling of what your product could look like within like 3 days, like 2, 3, 4 days, very quickly, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that was not a thing. Like you
Not even
would have
possible.
to convert or dedicate a lot of time and money just to get that prototype or just to get that understanding of would this app even like feel good in my hands.
Right.
And now we can, Manila does that in 3 days.
Yep. Bust it out there, and then you learn, you iterate. Maybe you stick with that for 6 months, right? 3 months, or maybe in 3 weeks, right? It doesn't matter. And then you move on to your actual large custom software platform, depending on how things are going, depending on what your users are saying, right? Depending on just keeping track of how they're using it. And strategies of integrating UX into software development is really a lot of collaboration. I lived through this in my software career, just working at a large software agency. Anytime that we'd get involved, the software developers, the engineers, the level 2 engineers, we get involved with creatives, with UX in the very beginning of the project, even before any code needs to be written or any package or plugin needs to be installed. We're in the room talking with the UX, the very smart UX people, creative people, design people on like their thoughts and what they're thinking and how they want this screen laid out, or how they want this functionality to work, or what they want to happen when this button is pressed, right? We're in there, and that's huge.
That I can personally attest to that, because one of the last projects that we had worked on, and we were kind of like wrapping up soon, I was not part of the UX process on that. And I feel like my understanding of that project as it came into development was a lot less than it could have been. Like I had to do a lot of learning to kind of catch up to all of that, right? But now we're working on another project for another client in a similar type of space, right? And I am at least there for the conversations about UX and UI. And like, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding about what those things should do, how they should feel, what they should look like, all of those things. So like just the ability that I'm going to have to work on that project is just going to be light years ahead of not being involved in the UX from the beginning.
I always found it important. I always found it just made my job easier when it came time to, starting to throw code down. But even I felt like at the end of the day, like we were giving the client, what they wanted. And sometimes the engineering team, their client's the creative team, right? They got to build what the creative team has dreamed up. And, you trust that the creative team has, really worked through the requirements with the client, and that, what the client team is asking for is what the client wants, and what the client has signed off on, which they typically have. But I just always wanted to get involved in the very early on in the project. And I kind of felt like I'm even when we were physically not even near each other in the same state, right? We try to get on calls, or anytime we were physically near each other in the same offices, we just make the most of it.
Yeah.
So, then when we get to custom software development, right? The importance of UX and custom software development, right? Like you have way more control over, the whole design, the whole layout, right? The templates are, canvas. So, there's things like user-centric design that we can definitely hone in on, make sure that design is very, very, very focused on the user. Higher user adoption, right? So as you're building something custom, it has, you're able to iterate faster to have, much higher user adoption. Reduce support costs. So as you're working through things, as you're kind of building something from custom, you can build in an understanding that, you can foresight things that might happen and build those in, as long as you're doing like your 2-week sprints, doing things in a more agile standpoint, can get you reduced support costs and a competitive advantage, right? So if you're in a space where you really can't do something like way crazy, like way off in left field. Like I don't know if TikTok did that with Snapchat, completely different, right? But you come out with something that's got a little bit of a competitive advantage in your software application, all of a sudden you're starting to take a lot of market share away from your competition, and that's huge.
Yeah, it's almost like, specifically with custom software development, that you can, even though there's more work involved, you can really own the UX process. So like when you're doing a low code or a no code, like like we said, like the benefit is those have already been done for you. Like the base level UI UX has been done for you. But with a custom thing, like you're in the driver's seat of all of that. So you can really tailor it to just your customers or just your user personas or your what you envision your user base to really be, where you kind of can't get that with pre-built tools. Or
you're getting everybody's user experience kind of baked into these templates and these components. Yeah. Which will work. And then increase customer loyalty, right? So you're able to brand this thing as much as you possibly can. And as long as you're optimizing and maintaining, you're listening and you're making tweaks, and that your custom software has been built in a way it can be maintained and tweaked very, very quickly. And then improve productivity, right? So, as long as, if you're not dealing with a clunky, pile of code, right, you can certainly have productivity. You can get through tweaks quicker, get them through the pipeline quicker, get them deployed quicker, get them reviewed by the app stores quicker, right? Get things through faster. So.
Or even just have the ability to do that, right? Like you can't necessarily even be that agile when you're with somebody else's product that's been built. You don't have the ability to do that necessarily.
Right. And you might be asking, like, what are some things I can do to ensure a strong UX? Right?
I'm sure asking that question.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. What are some things you can do to ensure strong focus in UX?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is include and involve users that are going to use the application.
Oh. Is there something else I can help with?
AI, man. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, who's talking to that person?
I don't know, but I think it's your computer.
Involving users from the start. Involving users from the start. Involving users from the start. So if you envision that there's a specific, demographic or a specific user base that's going to be using your app, making sure that in the very beginning, when you're defining requirements or even going through designs or building a rapid prototype, that you get this thing in the hands of those specific people and have them, do specific tasks in the app and like realize like what they're doing with the app.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but no one will find problems or leaks or messes in your app like real actual users. Yeah. So like that feedback is just so like the most important thing that you could probably get during the UX process.
And you can envision like, I want my app to do ABC, and then you kind of define those requirements, and you reach out and hand it to somebody that's going to be a user of the app, and they might be like, well, no, I mean it needs to do A, B, C, and D. Like, why wouldn't it do D?
Yeah, but B is way too complicated.
Yeah.
So why would I simplify B?
I don't want B. B doesn't have to be this crazy.
Should be
like
A, C, D.
A, C, D, maybe a little bit of B. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, okay, cool. We got this. We got a better understanding of how people are going to use it.
Yeah, under this condition, I shouldn't have to do E at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So involve user from the start, establish clear goals, prioritize usability and simplicity. Right, that's a big thing. Do not overcomplicate. The application does not have to be overcomplicated whatsoever.
So you don't need 10 steps to finish a checkout?
No,
or to enter your credit card?
No, I mean, imagine if ChatGPT was a hard, clunky tool to use. Imagine if it didn't have the adoption that it has today.
Yeah.
So easy to create an account, start a new chat, start talking. It's very easy. Imagine like they had this amazing research that has been done over the past decade, and it can do amazing things. Imagine the face of it not being fast or being clunky or being hard, right? Man.
I mean, I can already with ChatGPT in general, like, they have the whole like their login saving session thing isn't extremely long, and I think that's actually a negative experience for people who are using that. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I have to log in like once every couple of days, whereas like
session.
Session. Yeah. I never have to log into my Gmail unless my password is expiring or something like that. So like that in itself, even though it's probably a security thing, and I'm sure that there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Like that is a negative experience. It makes me not want to use ChatGPT sometimes because I never know if it's going to let me log in because servers are bonked or whatever, heavily used. Right. But anyway, not to Jason bashing on a company again, but it's just just an example of how like little things such as having to sign on too much could be interpreted as a negative experience for
if you
people.
have to authenticate in every time you go to a software app, like a desktop app or a web browser app, it's like, come on, like hold on to my session for much longer, please. Yeah. Iterate and test. That's a big deal, right? We talk about that all the time, analyzing what's going on, iterate, change, tweak, modify, and then foster collaboration. We talked about before about, collaborating between, different departments, different disciplines. Let's talk about a few apps or a few companies. We've kind of brought up a few already who, obviously they did not use no code, low code, but they went the custom software route that have excellent UX. So the biggest one, I know most of us probably know, Slack. Slack is one of the biggest, easy to use collaboration tools on the planet.
Yeah, I would say it's my preferred. I've used, Teams, Microsoft Teams before as well. And there's, Discord can kind of be in that space a little bit as well. So, it's
got with Discord,
channels and
groups
voice
and,
groups and stuff and servers and that whole thing. So it's very similar in the way that it's laid out, even if it's, it doesn't have a lot of the security stuff, or it's, not like meant for business right now necessarily. But out of those big three, I think Slack is probably the best for me from a business standpoint.
Yeah, makes you feel good about using the app. Shopify and Amazon checkout experience we talked about before. Shopify, imagine if the checkout experiences on the Shopify templates weren't very good, wouldn't have very many clients using the platform.
Yeah, and you're talking like huge amounts of e-commerce sites are based off of Shopify.
Right.
And that's like all of those people's livelihoods.
Yep. We brought up Airbnb before, Facebook, right? Like no matter what you think about Facebook, billions of people use it on the planet. And if it was a hard, clunky piece of software to use, people would not be using it. And, you can imagine there's, development teams, massive development teams at these companies who are constantly tweaking, constantly changing, constantly worrying about the UX, constantly making sure that this app is fun and that people are experiencing it in the way that they intend to.
For all the weird stuff we can say about Meta, the reliability of Facebook, especially in recent years, has just been really good, really fantastic, as compared to some of the other social media apps that I bash on every single week. Yeah, but I'm not going to mention my name.
All right, sounds good. And then other tools we use every day, like Gmail, right? Like how crazy it is if you woke up one day and you couldn't get to your email.
Talk about another setting the standard type of company. Email obviously existed before Gmail, but now the standard is what's Gmail doing with their email? Well, we should be doing it the same way.
Right. Ease of use.
Yeah.
We talked about the collaboration between UX designers and developers, right? And the benefits of the cross-functional teams and strategies for effective communication collaboration.
That was a handful of words.
Yeah, it was. It's extremely important for the teams, that are going to be, writing on the code or assembling, these applications inside low code tools, right? Really have a good understanding of, the UX, how the user is supposed to experience this. So, then we get into measuring and improving on the UX, right? You might be wondering, okay, well, shoot, like what are, great, these are the tips for ensuring we have strong UX, but what about, what are some things I need to be looking at in my software app to making sure that it's, it's doing what I expect it to be doing.
Yeah. So these are like your kind of like KPIs almost for these things.
These are things you want to be tracking that are telling you how things are going. Things like user satisfaction, like what are your reviews saying? Like if you got an app in the Play Store or the App Store, what are the reviews coming in, right? People will leave comments, right? Like
what are the tweets that you're being added with?
What are people tweeting it? Unless you're handling the Wendy's Twitter account, you just want to be very keen and listening into user satisfaction. Task completion rate, we've talked about that before. How long does it take someone to get through a specific feature?
Or do they finish, and where do they stop?
Where do they stop? Where are they dropping off at? Those are extreme. Time on task. How long does it take to get through a checkout process? Right, and then swiping up on the video on TikTok. How long does it take for the next video to pop in and load? Is it instant or is it a couple seconds? Right. Error rate, right? What are the errors that are happening in the background? Are there problems with the code? Are there problems with third-party APIs? Are there things about to happen that you should be, keying in on? Clicks to completion, which kind of go along with, time to task and task completion rate. How many clicks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll pile?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. How many clicks does it take to get to basically the confirmation checkout screen?
Yeah.
Abandonment rate, where are they dropping off? Abandonment rate is a big thing, especially if you have an e-commerce app. Page views and navigation paths, those are big too.
So like, how are they getting to the places, and how many people get to those places in those paths? That's kind of interesting, because I mean, obviously sites have different ways that you can get to different places with different amounts of clicks and
which is a benefit.
Yeah. So which way is the faster path? And that would determine maybe which way you want to promote for those users to use. Even though you want both ways in case they accidentally go along one of those paths, at least when you know that.
Yeah. Or
maybe the shorter path exists, but the longer path has the higher conversion rate.
Right.
You would never know that unless you're tracking those.
Unless you're tracking it. Yep.
Those metrics.
Methods for gathering user feedback. So user surveys, right? Like use your email list. You likely have a subscriber list that you can, blast out a survey to, ask pointed questions.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you use the app? What are problems with the app that you come across? How could we make it better? How can we become a better company?
Don't be afraid of that either.
Don't be afraid of it either.
Don't take it personally.
Do not take it personal.
Yeah.
The more feedback you get, the better, no matter what the feedback is, right?
Yeah.
Focus groups, bring people into a room, bring people into your corporate office, or, bring them into a co-working space, have them all download the app or have them experience the app, pull it up on their phone and have them use it there and see, get their visual representation of how it is using the app. Support requests. Look at all the support requests that are coming in. You likely, if you have an app out there, you have some type of support request. People are likely putting in, "Hey, I need help with X, Y, Z." Take a look at that queue. Take a look at how many things are coming in. Take a look at how many things are similar, right?
And make sure that path is easy.
Yep.
To get those support requests in.
Right.
Nothing is worse than a bad support request experience.
No.
Because that just makes me not want to do it in the first place.
Right.
So.
Right.
And that really sucks, because that's like people who are going to go through and do one of those like support requests are the people who obviously want to use the app or are supporters of the app. Like if you're just going to do a one and done and never use this app again, you're not going to like care to help somebody improve their app. So like if people want to do that, make sure it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it has good UX on its own.
Right.
Make sure that people want to use it and that they're rewarded for it.
Yep.
Not like monetarily or anything, but like respond.
Right.
Tell them that you are looking into it, or give them an answer to their problem, even if it's I don't know what's going on. We're trying to figure it out. Thanks for letting us know. Your feedback is valuable, type of thing.
Yep. Awesome. So yeah, that's UX. That's experience, user experience. It's a big thing when it comes to software development. It's you just have to be aware of the experience that people are going to have when they're going to be using the app, when they are using the app. You got to have a plan, right? You certainly want to make sure that you're looking at your metrics, looking at your analytics, looking at your performance reports. From a legality standpoint, making sure your accessibility is up to snuff, making sure everyone can use your app. So it's a big deal. User experience, big deal. Different from UI, user interface, and how it looks, how it's designed, the colors that are being used, how it's laid out. This is the experience that people get. So, yeah.
Cool. That was a lot.
Yeah.
Of really cool. I mean, we went on a lot of tangents, and semi-apologies for that.
Yeah.
I think it was more fun than not, but
yeah. We kept it.
Yeah, you did a good job of like riding the ship when I would obviously take us off on
Jump in the
different
dinghy
tangents.
and go that way.
Yeah, because I feel like that's my responsibility on this podcast, is to divert from like the nuggets of wisdom that are coming from that direction to like nuggets of just making people laugh.
Oh, that's funny. Awesome. So we're good. We'll see. We'll see
Cool. What are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know. I don't know. We might be bringing in another individual into our next conversation.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Am I being replaced?
No. We're adding. We're adding.
Additive, not
subtractive and carrying the one.
Got it.
Yeah. All right, great. Hope that you're having a good day, morning, night, whenever you're listening to this or watching this, and tune in next time.
Take it easy.
Thanks.